So this is the unboxing of the outdoor router from, well, it's a 4G outdoor router by a company called OutdoorRouter. They're relatively new. I got this after watching and reading some reviews from Cbit by Steve Mitchell and seeing his reviews of the Peplink. I needed something slightly more affordable than the Peplink, and so I thought I'd give this a test. There's very few reviews online about the outdoor router. I think they're quite new to the market. So I thought I'd do some unboxing, see what's in, see what it comes with, and then see what the performance is. Okay, so this is what we get in the box. So we have pistons. Okay. So we have the router itself. We have the Ethernet cable, bracket, power socket, and a pair of domes. That's us. So this is a IP67 outdoor router box, which is quite good. So it takes two SIM cards. It has multiple power in, so you can power over Ethernet or you can power in with a DC voltage. They've given us a network cable here, a couple of bracket options, so a pipe mount bracket and a wall mount bracket. And then we have the four antennas for the LTE and the Wi-Fi, as well as a power over Ethernet injector, which is quite handy. So we'll use that today to get started, and an adapter for UK and EU. This is the EU version. It's worth noting that they do have a US version. However, the US version doesn't support all the US networks perfectly. The UK EU version supports EU and APAC. It's Cat 6, so it's relatively good. There are Cat 12 and Cat 18 routers available through Peplink, but like I said, the price tag for those is slightly higher. This was a total of £300, which is about $350 at the moment, $360, so it's quite good value. So one of the attractive things on the Peplink is this power in here, the 9 volt to 48 volt DC in power. That's really handy if you're on a boat, as we are, so you're able to plug in pretty much any voltage into this and it'll handle it, whether it's low or high or spiking when you start the engine. That's really important for us. It has our power over Ethernet in, it has a WAN port out, it has the Wi-Fi system, and then it has a SIM slot. So it looks like a fairly simple setup, so we're going to get it plugged in and set up and see how it performs.
Famous last words. It didn't actually take too long to get this set up. Plugging it all together is quite straightforward. You just screw the antennas in, and they're all labelled so you know which plug to plug them into. Putting in the SIM cards was relatively straightforward, and plugging in the power cable was easy as well. I would say that if you're planning on using this on a boat, when you order it, you should email the company and ask them to include a 12 volt cable and cable gland. I think it's a little extra charge, but it'll save a lot of hassle when you're getting it set up. I had to jury rig one, which was kind of less than ideal. The software setup on this was quite easy. It did take a couple of attempts, so I might do a quick video on how to do that. The other thing of note here is that because the 4G antennas are directly wired into the modem, and this is something that Steve was mentioning in his Peplink review, is that the quality of the 4G signal is significantly better than if you had it through coax cable, say further up the mast or further away, or using an indoor device and then having an antenna outside. So because those antennas are plugged straight onto the board, it's effectively as lossless as it can be. So definitely good to see how that works out. We're going to cut into some sailing now, and I'm going to continue this review on the boat, and we can see how it performs when we're out sailing.
Okay, so just carrying on this router test. We're about 5 miles offshore now. It's quite a windy day, so we're fairly heeled over. I've lost signal on my phone, and the outdoor router is still giving me half a meg down and about 2 meg up. That might not sound great, but actually we're about 30 degrees heeled over, going upwind. It's quite windy, as you can see. We're in about 25-30 knots of wind. Got the router up there on the back, so half a meg is probably about as much as I need out here. It's nice to be able to send a quick WhatsApp to family, or check a weather file if I need to. But yeah, so far so good. I'm gonna keep on going out here. I think I'll get to about 10 miles out, and I'll try and get a bit level. The way these antennas work is that they create a kind of a, if you imagine like a rubber ring from a swimming pool, that's how the signal works. So if the boat's heeled up right on its edge, it's not going to be the kind of the most optimal angle for the kind of rubber ring of signal. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll keep testing through the day and just kind of see where I get to. Alrighty, so we're now 7 miles offshore. So not quite into international waters, but certainly a good chunk away from land. My phone's completely given up on phone signal, so I can't receive or send calls. But the 4G on the outdoor router is still running. I'm downloading a podcast in the background, so I don't really care at this point how fast the internet is. I did this test a minute ago, and it was doing about just under a meg down and just over 2 megs up, which kind of plays to the network capacity around here. But really cool that I can get internet when I'm kind of coastal sailing now. Obviously, if I was quite a bit further offshore, then I might start getting limited by the range of 4G. If I had an antenna higher up, I might be able to get 3G. But overall, generally very impressed with this piece of kit, considering how little it costs and how easy it was to get running. Other than the issues that I've bumped into getting it set up, namely that the documentation is quite light, and that there's no real easy way to set up a VPN on the device. It does have OpenVPN, which is the standard VPN standard, but there's no way to upload a configuration file that you would get from someone like Nord or Express or any of the other kind of common VPN providers. But generally, a solid piece of kit. The support with these guys has been incredible, so every time I've had an issue, I've been able to drop them an email, and they've come back to me usually within an hour or so. And usually with people who aren't just support people, usually people who are extremely knowledgeable about the product. So very impressed, considering the price point and considering the alternatives. And I'll keep testing it. We've got another SIM card in there that we're waiting to activate on a different network. That should give us a bit more of a full 3G experience. Vodafone in the UK, while they say that they don't do network shaping or traffic shaping or bandwidth limitation, it's clear that they do, based on the behavior that we've seen and tested through this week. But yeah, from a week's worth of testing, this has been a really solid way to make sure you get good enough internet while you're out sailing. So 2 thumbs up from me.
So it's been almost a year since we got the outdoor router, and it's really been a massive change to how we deal with kind of internet on the boat. We tested it. After that test I did during the summer last year, just before lockdown here in the UK. We took the boat to the Netherlands. We didn't manage to get any footage of that trip because it was more of a delivery, but we were able to get internet for up to about 12 miles offshore, and that really kind of changed the whole dynamic of being able to have crew kind of chilling out, relaxing, watching movies, and then being able to be on and off shift. The other thing that it's really changed is the ability to have the boat connected all the time, which doesn't sound like that's very interesting, but it's more important for when we're not on the boat. So it means that when we're not here, we can still connect to the boat, we can still see the cameras that we've got on the boat inside, we can still monitor all the devices on the boat. So it's really cool to be able to connect to your boat whenever and wherever it is. Being able to connect like 12 miles offshore has just been a complete change for us. It also means that when we're working, we're a lot less worried about where we anchor or where we are, because we can almost be certain that we're going to get some internet, and we'll be able to, compared to when we were just using our phones or using little kind of MiFi dongles. So while it's quite expensive, it's about £300 or $400 to buy this device. It's absolutely changed the way that we look at the internet or deal with the internet on the boat. It's also quite a lot cheaper than the max transit devices, and it essentially does the same thing. While the configuration and the UI and the interface isn't quite as slick and it doesn't have quite as much functionality, from a kind of practical perspective, it's perfect. It comes in an IP box, that's worked perfectly. We've been out in kind of gale force winds up to force 7, force 8, no problem whatsoever. It's been raining, ice, cold, wind, warm, hot. It's generally performed well, and we've not had any real issues with it. The only problem that we've had was when we actually were moving country to country and we didn't have the right SIM cards in, we didn't have them set up correctly. Other than that, it's been perfect, so fully recommend it, and yeah, I'll put a link in the bottom.